call the October meeting of the Rockland Community College Board of Trustees to order. The time is 7:06. Mr. Secretary, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Martin Worknight.
Here.
Mr. Dillon.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Here.
Mr. Van Valentine. Ms. Emma Cotovero.
Here.
Ms. Mary Ellen Dystra Dowell. Danella. Excused. Ms. Liana Eckert.
Excused.
Ms. Susan Reynolds.
Present.
Mr. Joe Rand. Mr. Mendel Todd.
Present.
And Mr. Richard Boyd.
Okay, thank you. Is there any public comment? Can anybody hear me? I'd like to recognize Lisa Fuller. Sorry, Elise.
Good evening. I'm Elise Fuller. I'm a professor in the Science Department and also Vice President Secretary of the Faculty Senate. Josephine Coleman, our Faculty Senate President, couldn't be here this evening, so I'm speaking in her stead and also on behalf of the Faculty Senate. At its meeting on October 19th, the Faculty Senate discussed the Rockland Community College presidential position profile that was distributed to the college community by Joseph Rand, Chair of the Presidential Search Committee, in an email from Ben Naylor on October 17th.
Excuse me, Professor Fuller, could you stand back a little more? There's a lot of echo.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
It is the general consensus of the Faculty Senate that the college president should hold a doctoral degree to complement their abilities, experience, and understanding, and personal commitment to leading Rockland Community College in partnership with our engaging faculty and staff at this time of tremendous opportunity for the college. As always, thank you for listening to our concerns from the faculty.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there any other public comment? Okay, President's report.
Yes, and you have my report, and I just put on the front of it a little bit about our veterans because I continue to be pleased with what we're doing with our growing number of students who are veterans. And a couple of weeks ago, they had their annual Honor Society initiation, and we are the first community college to be part of what's called Salute. And the students who were there really were quite amazing in what they've accomplished. And the other thing that I think says something about the spirit of how we look at our veterans is the fact that if we had any pressure about anything last year in developing the calendar this year was that all campus constituents said that we should observe Veterans Day. So the first time in several years we will be closed and we will celebrate Veterans Day on Friday, November the 11th. Is that correct? The right day? It's the 11th. And so we really are very proud of what we do for our veterans because my concern is always that lots of people, lots of elected officials, lots of government agencies talk about how important and how great we are to our veterans. But in terms of the funding that they make available for veterans programs, it's very limited, and I'm very pleased with what we've done to secure the funding that we've secured to have the extensive array of programs, including our Veterans Lounge. And I think that's a real commitment. So I think we just all need to keep remembering that these are very special students, and especially those post 9/11 veterans come with some very significant baggage that sometimes they need help with balancing, and that's really what our job is. So we are very grateful for our veterans, and I continue to appreciate what Vice President Silly and Mr. Barnwell do, and I thank you for that very much. The other couple of things that were very nice is last week several of us attended the Rockland Business Association Environmental Concerns Luncheon that they have annually, and we received a Green Award for our expanded transportation services. We are the only organization in the county who has, since they initiated this about 6 years ago, who has received 2 Green Awards. And it's one of those things that Sue and I talked about. We do a lot of things and we fail to sometimes step back and look at how they all relate. And when the person from Rockland County stood up and talked about what we've done in the area of transportation, what we provide to our students, I don't know if you all know, our students get for $60 a bus pass for the semester. Any student can get it. And it's not just to come to the college. Anytime during the semester, 7 days a week, they can go anywhere on the bus in Rockland County. And think about the cars that takes off the streets and the parking, the fact that we have bus routes, and we're now getting involved in a new working with them. One of the reasons they did this, we've agreed to work with this organization that's promoting sustainability in the county in terms of transportation. We're working on a carpooling program with them that will be rolled out very shortly. And so I was really pleased with that award, and it really is part of our overall commitment, because that really is one of our major goals, is to be a more sustainable campus. So I'm very pleased about that. And this goes along with what I mentioned tonight, that you all know the county has approved, and if it's funded, that we will be building an a greenhouse on the campus in conjunction with Rockland County Farm Alliance. So these are all sustainable initiatives. And of course, our new energy performance contract, which will go to the county in November for approval. We got word from the county executive today that it's on its way to the legislature. And I think I've tried to provide sufficient information to the legislature that they're prepared to endorse it. The other thing we had on Monday and Wednesday night, and we have to do it on 2 nights because of the number. And so on Monday night, we had all of I think of the 9 school districts, 6 represented. And these are students in the 8th, 10th, and 12th grade who have a 90 or above average, and who identify themselves as Latino, Latina, or Hispanic. And it was a really, really wonderful program. And our speaker, she came on 2 nights, and I really appreciate it. She is assistant comptroller, and her name is Nancy Hernandez. I just lost it a second. And she was really good. I think that parents especially enjoyed what she had to say and the fact of promoting education. And her husband said to say hello to you, Chair Warden, David Hernandez, who's with the hospital. He works, I guess, for the State Health Department.
Yes, he does.
And Chair Wardendyke is on the board of Helen Hayes Hospital, and I didn't realize that that's a state operation. And Marty, you've been on board for a long time.
Yes, I have. It was a very successful state-run hospital.
It is great. Anyway, her husband, they both work for the state of New York. And then our student speaker, who is one of these young men, Christian Alvarez, who has a 3.25 to a 3.49 grade average. He is a graduate of Rockland Community College. He was in the Marines and ended up as a sergeant, and he's now finishing his degree at the Maritime Academy. And he's also in the process, and we're going to be able to help him with this, I think, getting an appointment to go back for Officers Cadet School. He wants to go back and be an officer in the Marines and a pilot. And so he is, his parents came here from Chile and were immigrants, and he really did a nice job with the students, and they enjoyed him very much. And he was very, very articulate. He's a graduate of our MTS program. So I was very, very pleased about that. And then last night, it was just Rockland Independent School District. It was North Rockland High School. Is it North Rockland School District? North Rockland, excuse me. North Rockland School District. It was Fieldstone Elementary with 8th graders, and then 10th and 12th graders from the North Rockland High School. And we really had an issue about seats on Monday. Scott, we were trying to figure out how we observe the fire laws and give all the people who were fussing, but we managed to move everybody around, and I think everybody finally got seated. And last night we had a full house again. And I think that tells you 2 things. One, about how important these awards are. The schools really seem to appreciate it. They had good representation from the administrators of these schools. I was very impressed with some of the schools, how many counselors and assistant principals they sit. But the other thing, and one of the things the speaker said, is how important family, how much it is part of this Hispanic culture, and the fact that there were so many large and extended families, parents and grandparents and brothers and sisters here last night. And that's a message to us as we try to increase numbers of those students and get them to move on in college, because their numbers for college graduates are probably the lowest among America's growing diverse communities. So that's something that we can think about, how we work with families to get those students here in school. So I think that was an important lesson, but it was also a really nice service that we provided, and I was very proud of the college. And that's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. Are there any questions? Okay, the consent agenda tonight consists of 4 items. The first item is the previous meeting minutes, and the other 3 are resolutions, which we have discussed at our previous workshop meeting this evening. So if there are no objections from the...
Excuse me, I request that we table number 4.
Okay.
And we can bring that up next month.
Do we need a resolution to table that?
No,
I don't think so.
no, it's just, you
All
just
right.
take it off the consent agenda.
Resolution number 4 will be tabled until the following meeting in November. Okay, so there'll be 3 items on the agenda. If there's no objections, we'll vote on the 3 items, and I will read them now. The first item is the approval of the previous meeting minutes dated 9/29/2016. Item number 2 is the approval to amend transfer credit policy, which is Resolution 45, 2016. And number 3 is the approval of the lowest responsible bidder for mediation and demolition of the amphitheater and plaza restoration, contract number RFB PF 0316A, and that is Resolution 46, 2016. Can I have a motion to approve?
So,
Amended. Second? Susan? Any discussion or questions? All in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Academic Affairs Report, Provost and Executive Vice President Susan Deere.
You have my written report, if there are no questions. I'd just like to inform the board that last week, our 100-page, single-spaced, 14 Standards of Excellence self-study report, middle states, went to our, is that echoing? It was sent to Dr. Rose, who's the president of Passaic Community College, and he is the chair of the site team who will come and visit in the spring, but he will also be here himself November 10th, and several board members will meet him. This has been over a year, the process of putting this report together. This self-study, to me, is absolutely excellent, and I know that anybody who has read it realizes that it's excellent. But I think one of the most important things that the board should know is the fact that this was such a collaborative effort by everybody across the campus. All faculty, staff had a role in terms of the steering committee, the teams putting together the 14 different standards. So if you have the opportunity to read this final draft, this is about probably the 6th or 7th draft, but this final draft is absolutely excellent. And I really applaud the efforts of Dr. Kevin Barrett and Professor Martha Rotman. Both of them chaired the steering committee and worked really hard getting everybody across the campus involved. So kudos to them, and I'm very excited. A lot of times colleges are intimidated and afraid of middle state site teams coming to campus, but I can tell you I'm very excited because I think it's just going to be outstanding. So that's my report. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Deere.
Thank you.
Student Services, Vice President Dana Stilley.
Good evening. You have my written report. As I indicated, I'm very happy that we have been able to move forward with our strategic enrollment management plan, and we look forward to implementing that across the various constituents of the college. In addition, Dr. Wood did mention our Hispanic Heritage Awards and the great job that was done by everyone, but I too would like to particularly say a huge thank you to Public Safety, for not only were they instrumental in helping us with the overflow of the Hispanic Heritage Awards, but we have had several situations over the course of this week where we really needed them to come in and be confidential and take control. And they did an excellent job of that. They kept everyone informed as to what was going on and how all of those situations were handled with our students. And we're very, very grateful that we can depend on them to do that. So I want to publicly thank them, especially Scott, who's sitting over there. And lastly, Dr. Deere and I have been invited to participate in the elementary and secondary school regional planning, which is hosted by BOCES. We did that this past Tuesday. And the goal of these meetings really are to engage in discussions on various concepts, which will be part of the plan that the New York State Ed will take to the U.S. Department of Education in March of 2017. And some of those higher level concepts that we were discussing included supporting all students, the prevention and intervention programs for at-risk students, and the education of migratory students. So we will be sure to keep you involved as we continue to work on that planning committee. Thank you.
May I make just one comment about safety, public safety?
Go ahead.
To just agree with what they've had. Security, public safety have had 2 or 3 significant issues they've had to deal with this week, and they've done it very well. And they've done that even in the absence of Bill Murphy, and the new assistant director has just filled in and stepped in and done a really great job. I know Bill has been in touch, but the good news is he's done a great job, and the better news is that his staff can carry on when he's not here, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. Finance and Administration, Senior Vice President Dr. Nair Hussain.
Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to start with a sad note. One of our employees in accounting, Ms. Kathy McGowan, passed away yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? And it was a sudden, very sudden, and we were all quite shocked with the events that took place. So all our prayers are with her family as they deal with this loss. The second item I would like to mention is that as business officers of the college, we are trying to increase our presence and participation in SABOA, which is the Community College Business Officers Association. So I have joined the Finance Committee of the SABOA, and Joe Mara has joined the Audit Committee. They asked me to join the audit, but I said no, I don't know. There's any question. And following up on Dr. Wood, we hope that the resolution for energy performance will be with the subcommittee on November 9th. So we can let the board members know if they would like to be there. We'll give you show support. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Thank you, Dr. Hussain. NICET report.
I will be submitting to the trustees overview of the NICET meeting that I went to last week upstate. But I wanted to keep this part for the public meeting because I'm so proud, really. Any number of the workshops that they held talked about the direction that community colleges should be going. I can't tell you the number of times either the graphic was from this campus, although we didn't necessarily get credit for it, but it was from here, and the number of things that colleges should be doing to retain students who have great potential for dropping out. And one of the things that they mentioned is that there's a program 211. And I wanted to stand up and say, yes, it's us. Yes. I also want to tell you both at lunch meetings or at other meetings they had workshops on presidential searches and transitions. I can't tell you how many presidents who were at the meeting and or trustees who have been trustees for a long time paid specific respect to Dr. Wood And Ben, please make sure that that goes into the minutes because it was said so many times. And then finally, there was one man who talked about preparing for occupations and professions of the future, and talked about various robotics and such, and focused on auto technology. And one of the things that was fascinating is they showed a car of the future, and I apologize because I don't know the different parts of the car, but the sensors that can now be put in the four corners of the car where the wheels are can anticipate potholes. And so when you're riding over them, the car doesn't bounce around anymore. And to show you how finely tuned it is, it showed a car going over ping pong balls and eggs. And no ping pong balls were damaged and no eggs were broken. And so they thought, auto technology was, something that schools should look at, especially very sophisticated programs. Once again, we weren't singled out, but nonetheless, I was so proud. You're welcome.
You can talk again.
Yes.
Great report, thank you. Any questions? Okay, student government report. Nicole Chamira.
I have two things to report this week. First, one of our sophomore senators is working on acquiring a composter for the school, so they're working to go green. And second, our freshman senators have begun presenting their project ideas, and there seems to be a theme of student outreach, which is very good, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with those projects. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you. Any old or new business? Not? I'd like to get a motion to adjourn.
I can't say well.
Mary Lou? Second? Also, Susan? Okay. All in favor? All opposed? Okay,